Yes, it is true. Phil Thompson once came by himself. He was the only person in the restaurant. He watched StacksAMilli eat his food live in Teeswater. And I remember when I sat there, I thought I was going to be in Teeswater for a long, long time. And it was just a regular old dinner. And he sat there at the middle table at Boomers, because there's a middle table at Boomers. And he was the only one at the table. It's a big table. They would call that the middle table. They still do, where all the special... You had to be a certain person to sit down at the middle table. And he was sitting there at the middle table, but he was sitting this way, and he watched me eat. I think I had this was 5 a.m. in the morning. I went and got the Boomers breakfast. I can't remember what it was, but the name of it, but I remember what it was. It's a big breakfast plate. And they had hash browns, and of course you had your eggs, whichever way you wanted it, and coffee, and sausage links, and bacon, and toast. And I sat there and finished the whole meal, and he didn't have anything. He just sat there and watched me eat the entire meal. This was before the whole thing where I had gotten arrested and had to fight the case in court. Boomers, it wasn't just a regular thing for me. I always dreamed about one day having the money, being able to... I hate having to cook a big breakfast. So then I started going down to that restaurant when I was in Teeswater. 5 a.m. I went, go in, and they're open, and you could order. Some people have their coffee, and I've had days where I would just drink coffee. There were many days. But at this point in my life, it wasn't a coffee time. It was a big breakfast time. And I remember I had several of those big breakfasts all the way until the point where I couldn't have any more big breakfasts. I almost croaked from cholesterol on those big breakfasts. But Phil Thompson watched me eat one of those big breakfasts at Teeswater. He had his hat on. I never used to wear hats, really. When I was a kid, I did, but not as an adult. But ever since Phil Thompson, I've been wearing... Now we wear those hats, whatever. Philly was wearing one of those hats. I didn't even know it was him. I said, this must be Phil Thompson. Who else is the big guy with the hat on that would be sitting there just watching me eat the big breakfast? But at the time, it was kind of funny, and it's nostalgic and whatnot, because I'm not going... He'll never see me again to eat a breakfast like that. Unless he's going to watch me through binoculars. He could have got it on video, but yeah, see, a lot of people don't understand how famous I am throughout the world. If you get to talking, some people would be like, wow, you sat there and watched StacksAMilli eat a breakfast, and he can sit there and say, yeah, he used to be in Teeswater, because some people know me where I would never go. Like, sometimes I see people in my own area or whatever, and they're like, oh my gosh, pictures. I've had people come up to me with money to take pictures, autographs. I've had a lot of people, yeah, and then I've had just people say my name, StacksAMilli. A lot of people. I'm very, very famous. Wow, it's unbelievable how famous I really am. But that's how it was. But I'm not that famous. But I am very, very famous. Famous enough where Phil Thompson, Phil's a pretty high up man himself. He's got a big, large estate and whatnot, I would call it, and whatnot. He's big time. He's got a son that's around the same age as me that has a Ducati, Cam Thompson. And so he has a whole family. Unfortunately, I don't have a family. As you know, I've never even had a girlfriend, but I don't have a kid, but Phil's got a kid. Phil's got a couple kids. I'm not sure. I think he's only got 2 sons. Cam and Andrew Thompson. I think there was also a little bit of a discrepancy. Maybe Phil thought I was older than I was. I think I'm just slightly older than Cameron Thompson. I'm 28 years old, and I think Cameron was 27. So I'm slightly older than Cameron. Oh, this was years ago. 7 years ago, so whatever age we were back then. But I'm only slightly older than Cam Thompson, believe it or not. But as we go on to our 30s, I'm not eating much of those big breakfasts. I do enjoy those McDonald's breakfast burritos and other ones. And oh, Tim Hortons has these biscuits, so that's good. But I don't like making my own eggs too much. Very rare will I crack an egg. I just don't like it. I've eaten so much food. I mean, like, I like McDonald's. You go in there and you order a McMuffin or whatever, and it's a nicely, perfectly cooked egg and whatnot, and they cook it in their special equipment and whatnot, and you don't have to look at it and whatnot. You get it. It's a nice, perfect, fluffy egg with the yolk center and whatnot. They do it. It has they have a specific process on. They have a special little metal. It's a very simple aluminum device or whatever, just a little cookie cutting looking thing, and they drop the egg in there and yada yada. It cooks a certain way. But I don't very much like cooking my own eggs. But yeah, that's a story from when I was in Teeswater. Unfortunately, I had a fair video, but as people from that area know, that fair video unfortunately never. Out of my close to almost, I think, 8,000 videos now, and just one video is one of my most important videos, that being the Teeswater Fair video. I think the FBI had said that the security had gotten a little bit to a certain extent. It was so the files had to be, because there was just a vulnerability going on with it or something. But yeah, that's a story from Teeswater at Boomers. Or they call it the Big Cozy.